Sanibonani babukeli, sesifikile thina nentandokazi yohlelo olothanda kakhulu Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Siza kuni la mamba phambili phela SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Sisakaza sikhathi sinye futhi na ku SABC le High as well as the SABC Plus. Bukela indaba namhlanje. Have you heard that hefty fines are actually awaiting those found to be violating any municipal zoning laws, and restriction authorities are currently out in full force in order to nail offenders. Sine hour lonke uthi sinihlaziyele lolu daba mbukeli asingene shiqe udaba enhleta namhlanje. Sanibonani. You might think that owning a house actually gives you automatic right to do whatever you want on your property, but on the contrary, if you want to do in your private space, if what you do in fact in your private space actually violates the public interest as well as zoning regulations, then prepare for a very costly battle with Municipal. There is currently a sweeping crackdown on delinquent homeowners, and it has left many pockets very empty. Yebo mbukeli, ukucabanga phela ukuthi phela ungakha noma kanjani noma ikuphi ngoba phela uthi wena umuzi wakho kungakufaka enkingeni nabomthetho kumanje phela iziphathimandla zigoqe igwegwe kulabo phela abaphula umthetho kamasipala. Ake sizwe nanku umbiko.
Kunyuka isakhiwo sepomakazi lebhongo. Inhle kakhulu into eza kuphuma apha ingafana nale okanye nezinye ezikulomgangatho. Khawucingeni ukuba mangaphi amawaka amakhulu erandi agalelwe kulo msebenzi. Andikushiye usadibanisa lo manani. Ngoku iba nombono xa umasipala esithi chitha yonke lonto. Ewe inyukile kuyavunywa kodwa ngoku mayihle ngalandlela ibinyuswe ngayo. Njani kaloku uSara Mabotsha wongamele isebe lilawula indlela mawusetyenziswe ngayo umhlaba kwidolophu yaseTshwane amakhumsha athi spatial planning. Uthi baliqela abantu bakha izindlu abenza ufakelo kuzo okanye baziguqule bazenze indawo zoshishino ngaphandle kwemvume kamasipala. Omnye senze ngethemba lokuba akasokuze abhaqwa yena ubatyityimbisela umunwe abo.
If you go ahead and build whereas you didn't come to the city, we've got options. The first thing that we do normally, we'll go there and issue a contravention, and we normally give them 21 days to correct or to stop in terms of maybe if they are basic building, and if they don't, then we've got another step. We can take them to court. And in other instances, we issue what you call non-permitted land use. And you know how does it work? It simply say then we're going to charge them 3 times of their municipal rates. So we can see how big it's going to be. But for those ones who are building on illegal township, for as an example, we are saying as the city, the finance department is also assisting us in terms of calculating how much they could. But because we are using like your valuation law, remember each municipality we do have valuation law, so we're going to check in that municipal valuation law to say how much is the rate supposed to be there, and we charge 3 times.
Kulamaxesha nzima kangaka abantu wazama impilo ngendlela. Ayingewenge ubani onemali yokuqesha indawo yoshishino abebona ukuba lento ebeza uyiqeshela angayenza apha kwakhe. Sithetha ngabantu abanezandla, abanezakhono zokulungisa izithuthi, abaqeshisa ngamagumbi okanye iivenkile ezifana nale. Umabotsha uthi umasipala akalwi koko ufuna kulandelwa umthetho. Ukuba uyeke ibe nguvula zibhuqe kungayintoni? Ewe ungenza nantoni kwakho kodwa yazi ukuba umasipala ukuthi ntsho. Ayipheleli apho, ungafunga uthi umasipala unentlonti. Uza kuyeka wakhe ugqibe. Uza kufika xa sowulibele ucinga ukuba uqhashile. Afike esithi diliza eso sakhiwo okanye hlawula inkuntyula yemali esisohlwayo. Sucinga ugqibile. Emva koko kuthiwe hlawula indleko zokudilizwa kwesakhiwo sakho. Ukuba sidilizwe ngumasipala.
That's why as this administration, we have a program, for example, what you call area span. We also have operations that we are doing that to cap exactly that, because if we go out there, we are in a position to pick up all this lawlessness that it's happening. So it's big, but we're not sitting down or not folding our arms. We're saying we are trying to do our best. For example, if we go out there in whatever area, we find that there is encroachment or there's illegal buildings or illegal connection of water and electricity, then we come with a team to say, please, to deal with this particular area. But again, we are saying, if you want to comply, come to our offices, make sure that you get the right people. The officials are always available to assist you. Just tell us what is it that you do need so that we can be able to assist.
Ungayimela nalonto kwaye athina amalungelo akho xa ugaxeleke kule meko. Kuvuyisile Mdoda, Yilungelo Lakho.
Yo, kunzima mbukeli, sibonge kakhulu ngalo mbiko esiudidelwe insizwa lapha uvuyisile Mdoda. Manje mbukeli, to further unpack this ke masamukele ubhodi uMagoromeji Mahata from the City of Tshwane's Economic Development as well as Special Planning Department. Sibe naye no Mr. Core Van Defender. He is a property lawyer. Gentlemen, what a pleasure. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Welcome. So, Ko, let's start with you. As an attorney, I'm sure you've been getting quite a lot of inquiries because we have seen quite a wave of demolitions due to the ongoing violations by the various individuals on municipal land. Talk to us about that.
As we discussed earlier, the municipality and municipalities across South Africa is definitely cracking down on illegal structures, whether it is on public land, municipal land, or on private land. On private land that we work with, what we normally are seeing is encroachment on building lines, servitudes, building double stories where only a single story is allowed, running businesses that should be residential. So sectional titles, as I discussed with my esteemed guest earlier, when you're buying into a sectional title property, extending that property, it also becomes an illegal structure, an unregistered structure, and I'm sure we'll discuss that a bit later. But we're seeing the city enforcing the bylaws, enforcing building regulations, and as we said in the insert, giving them 21 days then to demolish if it's an illegal structure.
Magoromeji, is it mostly Abantabenzi business that are affected, or it's also private citizens as well?
No, the majority from our experience is that both the business and the private individuals
are actually guilty of these violations.
They are the same, yes. But you have lots of business people who are taking advantage, and that's what we are dealing with.
Where is it most prevalent? Is it townships? Is it rural areas? Is it where?
No, it happens in the normal townships, where the normal suburbs, where we have people who are building illegally, because that is where the problem is. In most cases, we find that, especially in the townships, people don't really know the rights.
Yeah.
I think that is where, from our side, we are trying by all means to go to educate them about what they have to understand. But what is critical is that from our side, we realize that business people, they are the ones, even those who are in the normal suburbs, they are the ones who are the culprits.
What about rural areas? Because we know there's issues with tribal land that is actually issued by the tribal chiefs there. Are they also affected?
They are also affected, but even in most cases we found, especially with regard to City of Tshwane, we have rural areas, especially in the north.
Yeah.
Your Hammanskraal,
yes.
So we do have some challenges there.
Okay. All right. So maybe let's go back to the basics then, Core. Please define zoning so that the layman can actually understand. And when we talk about zoning and property rezoning, what are we specifically referring to?
So when a township or a suburb, as we know it, is created, that the town planner out there will create specific zoning for each area in that township or suburb. So zoning, for example, we would have Res 1, Res 2, Res 3. So a Res 1, residential 1, would be your normal house that is standing there. And as the density picks up 2 to 10 units or 10 to 40, or whatever the case, the residential zoning comes up. Where the problem comes in then is where people are running businesses, a business 1, 2 or 3 zoning, from a residential property. So when that town planning happened, they did it specifically for businesses because the roads are wider, there's parking and stuff available. Then people would move.
Exits,
exactly.
Yeah,
fire hydrants and all those things. So that suburb township was planned specifically with those zonings in place, what is happening is people are running businesses from residential zoning or running commercial from business zoning, and that is where the illegal businesses are running. Maybe let's say, for example, a panel beater that's quite a noisy business in itself is now running from a business 1 or 2 that doesn't allow for that, because it should be out of the suburb and in a commercial zoning space that they've planned for, and that is where the penalties are happening.
It's like a nightclub,
Yes.
You know, let's make
Yeah,
practical
maybe-
examples. Yeah,
I think to add on what they said is that
Yes.
from planning point of view, with all the land uses, each and every property has its specific land use.
Yes.
And we have a database. It's like when you have like people in the population register.
Yes.
So each and every property, there's a database. We have the rights for that particular property. And we have what we call the land scheme. Because that is where it indicates the rights for each and every property.
Exactly.
You might
what
have,
can
you might
and
have
can't
residential, then there are certain things you cannot do, there are certain things you can do. That's why you have different
But
categories.
Makhoromeji, how do people know that in townships? I mean, how do you know that you can't really erect a spaza or, additional back rooms there in your tight little 4-roomed government-issued house just as an extra added income measure and without further consulting anybody? Because that's what we're seeing in townships,
Yes, I think that's what is happening. But that is why from our side we encourage people not to just go and do whatever you have to do. You must get permission, so that understand what is happening, what are the rights, so that the municipality can be able to assist.
But does this affect all types of additional extensions to the original structure of that particular house? Because let's say, what if I want to extend my fence and make a perimeter wall and have another internal building, but that is still a residential building, I'm not leasing it out. Is that then allowed, or do I still need to go to a municipality and find out if I'm actually able to further extend within that property?
My advice to our viewers out there would be firstly to start with the title deed, because that's the starting document, I think, for all of us when we look at it. In the title deed, when you buy the property, you get view of the title deed. And in the title deed, it will say no business to be run from this, no building permitted to be erected within 3 meters, 4 meters or 5 meters from the boundary line. So I would start with that, and also pull the town planning report on that specific earth and see what is allowed in terms of height, what is a problem that we get, coverage is a problem that we get, and floor area ratio. So in your town planning, it will say how much of the earth can be covered, what height can you go to.
Just keep that in mind, because I want to quickly go to our first ad break so that I can take callers after the break. Mbugeli, stay tuned. After the break, ngifuna imibuzo yenu yokuthi mina senakhile nibuzeba niko by permission. We're back shortly after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. 011-714-0671, alternatively 011-0672. You can send us a WhatsApp to 0608-449-857 or usithumele imicabango yakho ku consumer@sabc.co.za or usithole lapha on our social media platforms. Nginobhuti uMakhoromeji Makhata from the city of Tshwane alongside Mr. Cor van Defenter. He is a property lawyer. Mbukeli sikhuluma ngento ekuthiwa izoning, lento oyekusho ukuthi indawo wena yakho noma ngathi umuzi wakho yini ovumeleke njengomthetho ukuthi ungayisebenzisa ezo. Ungakha yini ama backroom kuyona leyo yindlu kuleso space. Ungavula ni bottle store khona lapho egcekeni. Ungavula ni salon. So we want to understand kuma guest wethu ukuthi iziphi izinto kahle kahle that actually constitute ama violations, because siyeza ukuthi baphumile abamthetho bazobheka ukuthi nina you actually compliant with ama bylaws as well as zoning laws. Sengasifonela ke mbukela ingcingo zami ivuliwe. So Cor, you were still explaining some of the requirements there, but just a quick one as we talk about violations there. Makhoromeji, talk to us about what constitutes maybe a zoning violation, and then maybe take us through the different categories in terms of from soft to severe.
Thanks very much. I've indicated that each and every property has what we call the development controls.
Yes.
So on those development controls, it means whatever you have to do, you have to be in line with those development controls. That is one part. So it's about the land use. Secondly, is about the national building regulations. The national building regulations is about the structures now. So there's a compliance in terms of what you need to do or what we cannot do. I've indicated initially when we were discussing that you find that in most cases people go and build. After you build, you find that you don't have occupation certificate. And the fact of the matter is that you will never be able to sell the property.
The house, yes.
So those are some of the areas which we are saying people must come in. You have one in terms of the scheme, two is also in terms of the national building regulations. But in most cases, what we experience is that in most cases, as indicated, we find that it's a residential property. Then you start to run business. Now, from the city of Tshwane, we went beyond that. Now, it's not about, we come and issue contravention notice. Once you don't comply with the contravention notice after 28 days, we come back, we now implement what we call non-permitted use. Non-permitted use simply means we have to we'll charge you 3 times your normal property rates.
And it's a daily rate, I understand, or a weekly rate?
Monthly rates.
Monthly rate.
So until you comply.
You.
So in most cases, we have people who did not comply, but there are 2 processes. We charge you non-permitted use, but also take you to either municipal court or high court, depending on the severity of the contravention. Because in most cases you find that we are saying, we do an assessment, we are saying, is it what you are doing, is it approvable or not? Because if you go back what we call the zoning certificate, certificate will say, this is your primary rights.
Yes.
That's one. Then there is the second one is, you can only do certain things with the consent of the municipality. Then the third category is where we are saying you cannot do it. So in most cases, we take you for the third one, then we take it to municipal court or high court.
Okay. But
Yes.
Mahoromeji, maybe just on the back of that, because we've seen it's quite common to have those, to see those rental backroom dwellings, specifically in townships. And apparently those are the people that are not compliant. We recently saw a collapse in Soweto that actually involved multiple fatalities just last year, December. So what is the law about that? Because they keep mushrooming everywhere. Is there a regulatory body that actually is going around from the various municipalities just to ensure that just because you have space in your backyard does not mean you can automatically start building rental dwellings?
Now, in terms of the constitution, the municipal planning and the national building regulation, this is the authority of local government. So no one has the authority to go and inspect. So you find that we have inspectors. These are the people who have to go also every day to go and check that there's compliance.
So they need to
the
give
authority,
the directives.
Yes.
Okay.
So municipalities will have inspectors who will go out and do those inspections, and then failure, if we don't comply, then we ensure that we enforce the bylaws.
And this is what I want to ask, Cole, because if nobody is enforcing the regulation, and then you come to me after 15 years, I've had a lucrative business and stand operating from this place that you're suddenly saying that I cannot operate a business on, can I then come to you and say municipality is coming to tell me things I know nothing about?
Unfortunately not, because your title deed and your zoning and all your planning permissions, it's all public documents, inspectable by everybody. In law, we also have buyer beware. So before you go buy that property, make sure before you buy the spaza and the shop and the nightclub, as we said earlier,
Yes.
make sure that the proper planning is in place and the proper consent has been obtained from the relevant authority, whether it be municipality.
All right, so what steps should one then take in order to rezone their property? Are you able to explain this, Mahoromeji?
Yes, it's a very simple exercise. As I indicated in terms of the zoning, you find that we have what we call the primary rights.
Yeah.
Primary rights is that where you don't have to apply because that is basically the rights you have. 2 is the one where you have to apply for a consent. Municipality should be able to say, yes, we can do it. So there's a category. But if you really want to amend the scheme, you have to submit an application. That is what we call the rezoning process.
Okay.
So that is the one where you submit your application, we circulate to all relevant departments so that they can comment. And the reason why we are saying this is because you find that in that particular area or space, it was more your residential. Now, if you want to increase the rights. So it means it will have an impact on the infrastructure.
So I need permits even for a bungalow at the back of my house. We're talking just now about, you know, those gazebos or...
Everything you do, you need
permission.
Yes.
Okay.
If
All
I-
right. So maybe, Ko, then talk to us about zoning restrictions. Then do they not interfere with the way that I want to use my private property? Because as I'm saying, isn't this my land? Yes, you've given me a title deed to say these are the different specifications of what I can actually do there. But if it's not, you know, obstructing somebody's view, my gazebo or my bungalow, I mean, do I still need to to come to you guys and report that I do have such a structure in existence in my yard?
Private property, it's your property, it's guaranteed in the Constitution, yes. But also then in the title deed again, it clearly states that you will comply with municipal bylaws, regulations, and as such. And as we discussed earlier, also when you build your beautiful lapa in the corner,
Yes.
you might be building over municipal infrastructure, drainage, water pipes, or something like that. So there are what we call servitudes along certain boundaries. So we'd love to do what you want, but there are certain regulations and laws that you have to keep to and check before just building in the corner or putting a pool in or anything like that.
But Mahurumetu, this is what our viewers are complaining about the process of application. They're saying it's just way too frustrating and it takes simply too long. What do you have to tell them?
Yes, I think it's true that sometimes it takes long, but also depends on the quality of application, because I think it's both ways.
Are there different qualities of applications?
Yes.
Please unpack.
It's about the quality of the application itself, whether, for example, you submit certain information, but some information you don't submit. I will give you an example where you want to run a business. When you run a business, sometimes you will need a traffic impact assessment, because we want to understand what will be the impact of whatever development. And if you don't submit that traffic impact assessment, it means we won't be able to take a decision as the city.
Hey, and I just wanted to find out what is actually needed when you go. You're going to take us through the application process. I want to quickly go to the lines and take Esther from Citrus Town. Esther, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. How can we assist you? Esther, hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, Esther?
I'm fine.
We're very well, thanks. Go ahead with your question.
I've got a problem. I've got some business property in East London. My rates and taxes and stores, everything else is really high. I pay rates and taxes over 11,000 rand a month. And all around me, there are basically spaza shops working out of garages, which means the people who are renting my property, they don't really do much business anymore because it gets taken away by others. And I don't think it's clear because I'm paying through my nose for everything else. And the normal domestic homes pay very little in rates and taxes as well.
So, Esther,
how can I go about, what can I do?
Okay, and Esther, are you currently compliant with all the municipal zoning laws?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and those that you are renting your premises to, are they also compliant?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so what is missing now? Are you not able to collect enough revenue to make up your payments back to the municipality?
That is correct. I'm losing money of all the people who are working out of basically private homes, garages, all around us.
All right, so you're asking the municipality to maybe just, lower your rates there?
That is one option, yes. But what else can I do?
All right.
Because I'm quite sure it's not supposed to be that people are dealing in business out of garages.
All right, Esther, thank you so much. We do appreciate your call, ma'am. Please keep your eyes locked on your television set. We're going to take a quick ad break, and we're back shortly after this, and we're going to try as much as we can to address Miss Esther from Citrus Town. I see you, Kevin. Mugeli, we're talking about zoning regulations nomthetho phecelezi lokho ukuthi umthetho usho ukuthini mayelana nendlu onayo ukuthi uyisebenzisa kanjani wena ungayakha nama backroom lapho emuva ungavula ispaza shop lapho ungenzisa enabantu inzipho in your property noma unganyusa ifence noma wakhi lapha ya ungazange uyoreporta kumasipala uyasho kuba uMakhoromeji uthi la noma ngathiwa unyusa ifence wenza in kumele uhambe uyobuza kumasipala ukuthi kuvumelekile lokhu engi-extendayo endlini. All right, my guest this afternoon, Mr. Makhoromeji Makhata. He is from the city of Tshwane, alongside Mr. Cor van de Venter, who is a property lawyer. Mbogele 011-714-0671, alternatively 011-714-0672, 060-844-9857. Those are the magic numbers. Uma wena ufuna 6 So Esther, simsiza kanjani Esther Makhoromeji?
I think my advice is that she must just maybe approach municipal offices. There are a number of options which I think they can assist. One can be the issue around the indigence policy, because it's there, she can apply. Or
but
maybe
that one only as an individual, not as a business.
Yes, not as a business. So the other one might be really looking into in terms of what the rights, because now it seems as if she can't cope to pay based on the land use. So I think town planners, they can be able to assist on whether she can. How would
they assist in that situation though? Would they be able to take the property from her and utilize it for municipal businesses and then she gets a stipend?
No, not really. The advice might be maybe she can decide to downgrade the rights, because it has an impact in terms of the valuation.
Well, how do you downgrade the rights? What are you saying when you're saying I want to apply to downgrade the rights? Are you saying it can no longer function as a chicken farm, a pig farm, but can we please just keep it as private property
Or we
now?
can do something, yes. We can do something, yes.
So that is possible?
Yes, it's possible to change.
Cool. Why didn't you tell me about this? Cool.
So
there's options. That's what we want here.
The option is to go from commercial or business
Yes.
to residential, which is considerably cheaper.
Okay.
But
And
the
does
problem
that
is-
affect the rates as well? Because she's
Yes.
crying about the rates in terms of how
Directly.
they... Yeah.
Because if you check all the properties as indicated, we have different land uses. So those categories determine the amount you are paying in terms of the rates and taxes.
No, it makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
if you acquired 50 hectares, obviously we're thinking you're going to farm there and do some agricultural farming there. You obviously going to use a lot of water as well as electricity. So, Ko, what is a departure application?
Departure, usage departure, where people might be changing the bedroom to a bathroom. Departure usage in terms of the plans.
Okay, so small little renovations and alterations.
Yes, in townhouses, we find that often, and also in houses where you're moving bathrooms, kitchens being used now as a bedroom in terms of that's departure usage from departing from the use of that.
And then what is a land use application, Makhoromeji?
There are a number of different applications depending on what you want to do. As I indicated, also depending on the existing rights. As I indicated, we have what we call the primary rights, I indicated before. And then you can submit a so-called consent use application.
Okay.
Consent use application, but you can also submit what we call the rezoning, depending on what you want to do. But also, I know it's depending on if you still have a farm portion, and then you can do what we call the township establishment. So those are different options for you to be able to exercise certain rights, depending on what you want to do.
Okay, so does this also apply to those people that have township properties that then suddenly want to add back rooms? So they can actually go and apply for this rezoning application?
Yes, yes.
I see. So it is possible.
It's
You just
possible,
need to
yes.
go about it the proper way.
Yes.
Awesome stuff. All right, let's go back to the lines and take Sunday on the line. Sunday, very good afternoon. Angazi noma aSunday noma Sunday. Sekwamukela ohlelweni baba. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
Sawubona mama ngiyaphila mina.
Kunjani baba enkomazi?
Yes ma. Ngicela ukubuza manje kubahlonishwa lapho.
Yebo.
Uma bathi bafuna kuhamba basesha emasiphaza shobo ayike emasaluni emakhaya. Kula emafemeli aphila khona. Lapho bathi bafuna baye khona. Lama bayo renta kuyadura abakhona ukurenta lapho ngoba lo muntu uyasupporta ukusupporta umndeni wakhe. babuke ini ngoba government akabaniki indawo labantu ukuthi bakhona ukuphila ngaphandle kwalama-rent lasedweni. Manje kuyangicala lokuthi bagijima bayofuna ngoba nyalo bazinvestela indaba ye-tax bafuna kuba-taxa labantu ukuze baye ku-government. Babathexa nje umsebenzi uphi kubo babakhomba yiphi indawo ukuthi sihlalani lani siphilise la. That's why umkhankandla labantu sebavule emasaluni emakhaya bavule emathaphoba emakhaya indlala balambile. Asebakhohlwe indaba yokubuka i-tax ababuke ukuthi umsebenzi uphi kulabantu.
Yo, hey, wabuza baba, wayibeka indaba. That was more of a comment Sunday saying that, I mean, if you actually go and look at those family homes in townships and rural areas, he's saying that those additional structures were actually constructed due to the fact that there's high unemployment rates in the country. People are not employed. There's no money coming in. So if government is saying they must go and comply or go and start their businesses elsewhere, how are they going to even afford the rent when they move outside of their properties? So they are appealing with municipalities as well as government alike to assist them in terms of jobs. So Makharumeji, let's talk about Amalokuzana. We're still talking about a process, application, ama extensions, Namalokuzana, nama additional structures. Where is it done and when?
So is
this before you bring the quantity surveyor, the property surveyor, or this is after your structure is standing and operating, then you come and consult you guys at the municipality?
No, legally, you must, before you do anything,
yeah,
you have to submit an application.
Okay.
Or you can come just for inquiry, just to understand what are the rights.
Okay.
So we'll be able to explain to you, to say, this is what you can, this is what you cannot do.
We're speaking about how people are concerned about the lengthy process and tedious process. What is involved within this process? Very quickly, Mahormeji.
No, very quickly, I know most municipalities now, we are now moving towards the digitizing of the process. Because in the past, you find that you submit an application, you have to physically circulate to all the departments. And
so it's one department now, it's circulated
so
through
what
the
is happening now is
authorities.
because it's electronically, we submit and then from there we circulate to
Where do you
various
submit?
departments.
At your local municipality?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when we talk about departments, we're referring to departments within the municipality. So we circulate for them to be able to comment, and they will, if they need more information, then they can directly liaise with the applicant. So our advice is that usually appoint a professional town planner who understand the process. And then it will be easier for them to be able to get all the studies required. As I indicated, sometimes you will need a geotechnical, depending on where we're coming from. I'll give you an example in Centurion, where you have issues of dolomite. So those are some of the things we have to take care of. So you have to understand.
And a lot of sinkholes as a result of that, like we saw in Midrand as well. Thank you for that. So, Ko, what is a contravention notice and what should one do once they've already received one or been issued with one?
Contravention notice, as we discussed earlier, is where you've either built an illegal structure, you've built over building lines, over municipal servitudes or any of those type of things. So those notices are...
How serious is it?
It's very serious. As we heard in the insert earlier, you get given 21 days to comply, or you get given a penalty, or the municipality has the right then to come demolish the infrastructure if it's a fire hazard, noise hazard, or anything like that. So it is a very serious contravention. The municipalities are enforcing them, and unfortunately either comply within 21 days or penalized or demolished. It's one of those two.
Makharumeji, why is this a need for the sudden crackdown on Guti Nenzesho, Guti Ama regulations are actually followed at this stage?
So the issue is that because, as I indicated, in terms of the Constitution, we are obliged to ensure that...
Okay, before you answer, in fact, it's in Tatike for Mahoromejo, because I want you to outline Leo answer and also speak to the fact that it's overburdening some of the public services that government is also struggling with. We've seen the devastation that has been left by climate change. Ama resources, people are not paying for them. And if you're going to build over infrastructure, then how are we going to access anything? That we now have to demolish. Remember, my lines are wide open. We'll be back with you shortly after this break. Bukeli 011-714-0671, alternatively 011-0672-0608449857, noma SABC consumer at sabc.co.za. Those are, of course, the magic contact lines as well as email laphaya. Ngihleli no Mr. Makhulumeji Makhata ovela kwi-City of Tshwane alongside Mr. Kofan Defender, who is a property lawyer. Bukeli sikhuluma ngalento yokuthi unayo yini imvume yokuthi yebo siyazi indlu yakho bakithi kodwa umthathile yini imvume kumasipala ukuthi uwakhe lawo ma-backroom elapho mese dilikela abantu, who's going to take responsibility? Siyasho ukuthi siyanixwayisa futhi ukuthi bayaphuma ama-inspectors azobheka lezo zindlu zenu ukuthi are they fully compliant, because kuthiwa ukhona ngisho ukwakha igazibo ngale ungamazisanga umasipala. So sifuna ukwazi ukuthi what type of issues are you running into when it comes to these land zoning issues. Let's go back to the lines. Siye ku Dr. Myeza insizwa yangakithi uvela le eMsinga. Babu Dr. Myeza sokwamukela insizwa ohlelweni, umbuzo noma umbono namhlanje.
Ngiyabingelela kuswami.
Kunjani?
I will be having a comment and also a question.
Okay babu, uhlanganisa ushashise nje khona sizovulela abanye ithuba.
Okay, no problem now.
Thank you,
I
Babu.
was just asking that the municipal property rate South Africa, does it apply also in rural areas, and also does that system include the bankers? Because if you look in the rural areas, if some people are applying for the loan or house bond and all those stuff in the rural areas, they don't get that fund. What is it that needs to be done in rural areas? Thank you. I'm calling from KZN.
All right, umbono wakho uthini baba?
Umbono wami uthi ungakwazi yini mhlawumbe ukuthi amabhenka kanye nomthetho lo okhona basebenzisane nomasipala abasemakhaya nendawo esemakhaya ezisebenza mhlambe namakhosi nenduna ukuthi zibikwazi ukuthi balekelele abantu bakithi, ngoba abantu bakithi indawo esemakhaya zingakwazi ukuthuthuka ngesimo sokuthi imali mabefuna imali emabhenki abakwazi ukuyithola ngoba indawo zabo azi-owna omasipala, zi-owna under ingonyama trust.
Siyabonga kakhulu baba, ngiyayazi-ke le ndaba okhuluma ngayo. Siyabonga kakhulu Dr. Myeza laphaya insizwa efona isemsing. So something that I started this discussion with about who these zoning regulations actually apply to. So he's asking if they actually do affect the rural areas. So I want to hear from you, Moharemeje, do they affect? I mean, asim chazele futhi baba so that he hears it from you once again.
All properties, as I indicated before, all properties have a specific category. You'll have your farming areas, you have agriculture, you have
tribal allocated land.
Yes,
it's
those ones is linked to, yes, because there's a value towards those properties.
You know why I'm asking him this first question, Cole, because he is saying that a lot of people are now applying for loans to buy a residential property or stands in the rural areas, but they're not receiving those loans because obviously the land belongs to the municipality or in Gonyama Trust in cases of KZN. So he's asking what can be done in this instance to ensure that they also do comply with these zoning laws. And he was also appealing to municipalities and specifically government to go out specifically in rural areas and townships to teach people about what it means to actually go through the issues of special planning and zoning. So, Cole?
So in the tribal lands, there's the right to occupy certificate that's being issued by the chief in that area.
Yeah, the indunas.
Some banks, I'm not going to mention names, but do finance property and give finance for that. We work with a lady, Portia, from the Property Sectoral Charter. They are busy financing a study to finance properties in rural areas. And again, with PIN location, cell phone location, that's technology they are looking at where you could drop a PIN in the area that you stay. So again, I won't mention those banks' names, but certain banks in those sectors are looking at it. There are studies being commissioned, because the figures that we got from Porsche was that's almost the biggest market out there that we don't know about it. And it's the next step for financing for the banks. It's unfinanced property that can't be financed, and they're looking at technology to resolve it. So there are studies being commissioned as we speak.
That's great news, because Maharameji, there's been quite serious issues pertaining to tribal land, and there's been allegations of councillors taking it upon themselves to sell municipal land, and then people's houses getting demolished because they had bought the sale had actually transpired through the councillor, who also had no rights. So how is municipalities also guarding and safeguarding against this?
Yeah, usually because the process is that because as we said, you have to come and submit your application.
Yes.
And one of the things is that, do you have a title deed?
Yes.
That is one. If you don't have a title deed, we must have any lease agreement or any form of ownership.
So even if it's a letter from the tribal chief,
Yes,
if you are from the rural areas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do accept.
All right. Okay, so gentlemen, let's go back to then the crux of our discussion. I buy a property, core. It's already got violations, zoning violations by the previous owner. Who's responsible for the violations now?
Unfortunately, in South Africa, when you buy a property, you buy it as is. That problem. Footstewards.
This was not an auction.
So my advice to the viewers out there, again, do your pre-inspections, ask the right questions. Don't just buy a property. And
who should allude the buyer to all these, defects or violations before the actual sale is concluded, Cole?
As we said again, it's footstewards. So it's up to the buyer to make sure that all the legal planning, everything's in place, the structures.
What if he finds it interesting? He's like, yeah, I can also utilize that garage. I want to use this as my new motor car, whatever, And then he had a mind that he was going to keep it. He didn't know it was a violation. So is he still the offender in this case?
Again, he's still the offender. And if he on-sells and that person doesn't ask the question, it passes on. And that has ended up in the courts, as you can well imagine.
Yes.
And in early 2000s, it was resolved that the buyer will then be responsible, no matter whether the fifth previous owner did it. The buyer is responsible.
All right. Let me quickly go back to the lines and take Sunny Boy from Refilwe here in Gauteng. Sunny Boy, a very good afternoon to you. Singakusiza kanjani baba umbuzo noma umbono uthi qaba njengamafu sengekho efini?
Sawubona manjani?
Ngiyaphila nsizwa njani?
Ikhona.
Singakusiza kanjani?
Mina ngiyabuza ukuthi ngoba la utown planner wala eMthithi usika makuvela intende usika intende zokuthi abantu bahlale akuna business site baje abantu bazokwenza
Angizwa but Sunny Boy kwenzeka kanjani lapho?
Yithi utown planner usika intende makuvela intende ukuthi abantu bahlale.
Okay.
Akuna town planner. Town planner akuna business site like that.
Okay. So ubani ofika sikela abantu indawo?
Town planner.
Ufika abanikeza abantu indawo?
Bakhona abanika abantu indawo. Town planner akana business site angazi ukuthi indaba kwenze njani.
Hayibo, many reporter kuba bathini?
Reporters wethule sesisebenzele emakhaya vele.
Hayi ngeke but Sunny Boy awubambe lapho ucinga usinikeza inamba lapho khona sizonikeza iCity of Tshwane lana sizobona ngoba phela akumele ngempela yenzeke lonto. Siyabonga kakhulu but Sunny Boy osifonela la eGauteng. Mbukele, let's take another quick ad break. We're back shortly after this. Mangabe mbukele nawe ufuna ukureport izinto sifonele. We're back shortly after this. It's our final segment nesikhathi siwa sesiyidliwa yinja. Ngicela uwazi ukuthi ngizothatha ama calls 0117140671 alternatively 7140672 uma ngabe lisekhona ithuba. Mahoromeche Makata is from the City of Tshwane alongside Mr. Korfan Defenter, who's a property attorney or lawyer. So Mtad, utlaring bari town planner ubusy mo register distance and they've been reporting them. Lona lietsa nkataba yi.
I don't think it's true, but I think let's investigate. But the process is that you can't just subdivide without due processes. And we know in terms of the township establishment process, when you do all these different rights, there's a formula which you have to use, especially where you have to provide business, you have to provide public open spaces. There are a number of areas which you have to
But
deal
how
with.
rigorous are municipalities in ensuring that not a random town planner is just going to land in town and start distributing land to people? Because, Mahromete, this should not be happening. Who should be at the behest of ensuring that these laws are actually complied to?
But I think my understanding is that in fact that those are just land grabs, where individual people go to your property without you knowing. They subdivide, then
But
they give you
apparently
money.
the suburb is mushrooming, it's booming there. People are building. So when are you going to go and actually check?
No, if from
What's
our
going
side, from
on?
our side, there is a process with our metropolis.
Okay.
There is a unit dealing with the land invasion.
Okay.
So once it's reported, then we are able to go in and stop it.
And how can people verify that this is an actual person who can actually allocate land? Mahropej?
As we are saying, I think it's important for them to liaise with municipalities, because that is where you should be able to provide information, so that at least, because what is happening now, we have lots of people who are now being scammed. That's unfortunate, yes.
All right, Ko, in the extreme case of you've been, digging your heels in and then, municipality decides to then demolish, does it end there? Are you clear? You can then go and use your old building supplies in your new area. What happens? Are you not liable for anything at this stage?
You'll still be liable for your penalties that was imposed, and those penalties, as with everything, it doesn't disappear. So should you wish to sell that property again at a later stage...
So they accumulate?
Yes, with interest.
Wow.
So
even if I sell the stand and it's completely demolished, I'm still liable for
those penalties, because those penalties will be added to your rates account, and before we can transfer property, we have to get what is called a rates clearance certificate. So there's no running away from it.
So,
maybe to add,
yes,
I think from our side, what we are doing now, apart from all the rates, what we do, we go to court, and then we have a demolition order. There are two options. Okay. We are saying that you as the owner, you must demolish.
Okay.
That's one. But failure, which we come and demolish on your behalf.
And
but
you still carry the cost?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. All right. And how hefty are these fines that we're looking at?
We talk of millions.
Ooh. Give us a vague number.
Because depending on the
violation
structure or the structure itself.
Look, a lot of home-run businesses, they're quite a new trend. Should these people that are actually running businesses at home start worrying about it? I know one of the callers mentioned it's salons and everything. Should they really start worrying and maybe just go and try and apply for a rezoning just to ensure that they accommodate whatever structure or business is actually taking place?
I can assist.
Yes.
In terms of I know from Swan side, we have what we call home undertakings.
Okay.
So we can have your small, as long as it's not the major activity.
Okay.
You are allowed to have that as home undertaking.
All right.
Yes.
And your quick advice, closing remarks?
Comply and make sure that you have the correct information when applying.
Okay.
That will speed up the process and application.
And call Mr. Kaur. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we wrap up today's program. Thank you so much to my guest this afternoon, Mr. Kaur van Defento, who's a property lawyer, alongside Obaba Mahoromeje Makata from the city of Tshwane. They've been assisting us. Mbukela ukuthi nazi ukuthi phela le mthetho le yokuthi awuvane wakhe noma yini ngoba nake segcekeni lakho kumele uyoconsulta ngisho ngathiwa loyo mhlaba loyo unikezwe ingonyama trust eyakajala intokazi nithanda nonke emakhaya ngizonibona next week. Bye bye.